The new Amazon Fire Phone. We are going to put this brand new 13 megapixel optically image stabilized camera here that Jeff Bezos thinks is the best thing since sliced bread to the test in this real world review of the new Amazon Fire Phone's camera. So stay tuned. Okay, so here we have 3 photos all taken from the 3 different phones. We have the iPhone on the left, the Fire Phone in the middle, and the Nexus 5 on the right. And I've taken 3 sort of different shots here. I have, they're all available light, they're all no flash, they're all no HDR, basically straight out of the camera, no post-processing. We have an available light outdoor shot, we have an available light outdoor shot with close focusing and tough focusing here with this little tomato plant garden picture, and we have an available light sort of detail shot inside with no flash, sort of a dimly lit dark situation with a dollar bill that we can see some details. So what I'll do here is I'll run through each of these pictures, load them up on the screen, and you guys can look at them in depth. I will also upload these to Dropbox and make them available for you for download if you wanted to check them out to see the differences between these 3 photos. So jumping into the full resolution picture of the dog outside. Again, it's going to be iPhone on the left, Fire Phone in the middle, Nexus on the right. You can see that the Fire Phone, has more pixels. It's a 13 megapixel sensor, so the image is going to be bigger at full resolution. And so we've got what we're going to pay attention to here is sort of color, exposure, and detail. And it looks to me like the Fire Phone is a little bit underexposed in this shot. This white is sort of dull and dim. The dog looks a lot brighter in the other 2 pictures. The other thing that stands out to me too is this is really muddy. And when I say muddy, I mean the detail just isn't there. If you look at the blades of grass in the Nexus photo and also in the iPhone photo, you can see detail that, straight line detail, right? You can see these blades of grass. You can see, the sort of outline of this piece of clover here. Whereas with the Fire Phone, it's very muddy. It's very just blotchy. Looks like a lot of JPEG artifacts. I don't really like how the grass looks. The dog looks okay. The dog looks a little soft too, which is out of focus kind of looking. Especially if you look at like the hair here and here compared to here and here, and here and here, especially in like the eyes too. Very little detail here, but there is detail here and here. And so to be honest, the Fire Phone looks the worst out of both of these 2, or both of these 3 actually in this example. So looking now at the plant photo in the garden, again, iPhone on the left, Fire Phone in the middle, and Nexus on the right. You can see that the white balance here on the Fire Phone is definitely different than the other 2 phones. This is very, very warm compared to these 2 pictures here. These guys are probably a little bit more accurate. They're definitely a little bit cooler in color temperature than the Fire Phone has here. Resolution-wise, you can see that, again, it's similar to the dog picture from before. These guys are a little bit more clear, and I don't know if clear is really the right word, but you just see more detail. You can really see it in the little fine fingers here than you can on the Fire Phone. It's a little bit more chunky, not as smooth. The resolution is just not as good. Overall, though, the picture is actually pretty nice. I mean, if we zoom out, you can see that it actually is a pretty nice, it's a pretty nice picture. And we didn't really see that with the dog. I didn't zoom out. But it is, when you compare this photo to like the iPhone photo, just side by side, you see it looks pretty good. And so, again, big differences in color accuracy here. But if you're going to talk about pixel peeping and get really down to the nitty gritty, the Fire Phone's lacking in resolution in these outdoor photos. Another thing I'd like to talk about too is focusing. The Nexus and the iPhone both focused extremely quickly and extremely well on this part of the image. And by pressing your finger onto this part of the touchscreen, it focused accurately on the flowers. It took the Fire Phone no fewer than probably 10 to 15 times for me to press my finger on the screen on this part. It just refused to close focus. And I don't know if that's a software bug or if maybe it was just the complexity of this image or what. But I wish I had my GoPro on or something to show you guys that. But you'll have to take my word for it. When I tapped on the image here, it took me about 30 seconds to a minute to actually get the camera to focus on this part of the plant. Okay, so now we are in the indoor low light available light camera test here. Again, iPhone on the left, Fire phone in the middle, Nexus on the right. Things we're going to look at here are resolution in the dollar, which is where the focus was placed, as well as noise and artifacts in the out of focus areas, so back here in the low light spot. So we'll look at them side by side here, just full view. Things again aren't looking that great for the Fire phone. I can tell right off the bat that it's very muddy here in the AT&T logo. You can see that here and that here. The dollar bill looks completely sort of unsharp. Compare that to the iPhone. Here, color accuracy about the same, exposure about the same. Let's run this guy next to the Nexus here and see what we see. Nexus, very different color. Check out the reds here, way different. But again, better resolution in the out of focus areas. Sharper, looks like more resolution, fine detail in the dollar. So quite a bit different color here. Let's see that. I would say the iPhone and the Fire phone. Well, exposure looks a little bit different too on these guys. So all three of them probably exposed it a little bit differently. But this looks way more saturated in the Nexus, which I'm not necessarily too pleased with. But what we'll do now is we'll zoom in on these pictures and see what the resolution looks like on the dollar bill itself. So we'll go here and here, and then we'll also go here. So out of all of these, I think the iPhone wins the prize for, most clear. You can definitely see it. I mean, yes, wow, look at the name. Look at the name, Washington. You can barely read it here. Very clear on the iPhone and sort of clear on the Nexus. And, if people are saying, oh, this is handshake, I mean, this is not handshake. You can see that it's not blurry. It's just garbage. Handshake looks different. Handshake is fuzzy. This is not fuzzy. This is just muddy. And so, these phones, I would say hands down the iPhone is the winner here in this low light situation. The Nexus isn't terrible. I mean, it looks good, but the the Fire phone is just absolutely unacceptable. I mean, Jeff Bezos in his demonstration compared the low light shots, compared it to the iPhone and the Galaxy S5, I believe. And this is just, the real world results are just not at all like what he advertised. Pretty disappointing considering this is a 13 megapixel phone that was supposed to take really good low light shots. This is just not very good at all. So anyway, I'm going to put these photos up on Dropbox. Check the link in the YouTube details below. And you guys can download these images for yourself if you'd like. But don't forget to check out everything else I have on YouTube and rate, comment, and subscribe. Thanks.